Hello, fellow YouTube fans. So,
Welcome.
I know it's not the weekend, but no, I'm not singing my short story. Just to clarify that, but I am doing a reading, and my friend,
George Triantos.
yes, he is here with me, and we are going to read my short story together. George has his own channel, which you can find links down below for. Check out his videos. We are going to be posting one momentarily. And hopefully you'll enjoy that. We don't really know what we're going to be doing, but we'll be doing something. Cool.
And the great Andy Ruffett over here.
Of course, because I'm so great and so vain. Anyway, so this short story is called A Cock and Bull Story, and I hope you enjoy it. It was raining cats and dogs. When they fell, I couldn't believe my eyes. So much meowing and barking made me scream in agony. Everyone was rushing indoors so these felines and canines wouldn't clobber them. There were so many slaughtered animals on the road. I couldn't believe my eyes when they told me that when every animal hit the ground, they made one last sacrifice before death. The impact forced them to spray their excrement. There was a fan outside still spinning, as it stood itself on the chair. I had forgotten to turn it off after I dried my hair. I couldn't afford a hairdryer, so I used the fan instead. Once the first animal fell, shit hit the fan. So much shit hit the fan, I was scared. Soon the fan was covered in warm, oozing brown, but those animals kept on shitting. It splattered across the windows, doors, all parts of the house. I turned on the fireplace, trying to distract myself from the cats and dogs' exploding feces. I added fuel to the fire to warm up the house, but it caused the whole fireplace to be lit up in flames. I ran outside in the pouring brown rain and kicked the bucket that was already oozing the dirty brown mush. I dodged cats and dogs as I scooped water under the bridge. We had a small bridge in the backyard with a little moat that was now filled with more than water. I had to rinse the bucket a few times before it was usable. When I arrived back inside, the fireplace was behind walls of flame, and dousing it with my bucket of water didn't decrease by much. Then I heard a crash. My mom's car started heading up the wall of the kitchen. It stopped, and then drove back down to the floor. My mom got out of the driver's seat crying, "Your behavior just drove me up the wall!" I couldn't believe she already knew, but, besides the statement, it was a slap on the wrist. The slap, though, was painful and left a bruise on my hand. She rushed me out of the house as the flames drew out their tongues and began licking the floor close to the couch. I needed a drink. I poured myself a glass of milk as I followed my mom outside. Once outside, the shock of my house enveloped in embers. A fiery manila envelope covered my house. It caused me to drop the glass, and I began to cry. "Don't cry over spilt milk," my mother scolded. A fortune teller told me my house would erupt in flames, and I said, "Yeah, right. When pigs fly." Suddenly pigs with wings appeared in the sky. What a strange day I'm having. "Well, at least she's not that high up," I said, trying to comfort my mother. "If it was the Prime Minister that told you, that would have been different." "Yes," agreed my mother. "That would have been straight from the horse's mouth." I can't believe PM Ney is actually a horse. I know. I was astonished too. Finally, the firefighters appeared. They got out their hoses and began spraying the already flame-ruined house. "Don't worry. We'll kill this flame faster than you can say, 'Bob's your uncle,'" said one of the worthy firemen over the pressurized hose. "Bob is my uncle," my mom retorted back, but the firemen didn't hear her. Soon the house was doused with the firemen's hoses. Our mouths dropped from our faces, and we stared at the wreckage that used to be our house. We picked them up, placed them back on our faces before speaking.
The fireman who had made the statement earlier noticed our faces and said, "Walk away with just a chip on our shoulder." My mom and I could see that each fireman had a small chip on their shoulders from the blaze. They quickly brushed them off. "A picture's worth 1,000 words," I nodded. "Seriously, though, did you want a picture?" "Huh?" I asked. "Because if you do, it's worth 1,000 words. I didn't understand what he was saying. "You owe me 1,000 words. If I take the picture, I have a camera in my back pocket. Always taking pictures of people's burned down houses." "Who wants a picture of their burned down house?" I asked. I knew this fireman was definitely off his rocker because he just fell off his rocking chair that he had been sitting on to extinguish the blaze. "No, nobody yet. Still, it'll cost you 1,000 words. "Do you mean... What do you mean it'll cost you? You expect me to pay you in 1,000 words?" Precisely, confirmed the fireman. How does one pay in 1,000 words? You write down 1,000 words on a piece of paper and give it to me. Why do you want 1,000 words written on a piece of paper? It's interesting to know how many words people can come up with when they're only limited to 1,000 words. Where would you put these pieces of paper? Hang them on the wall? What if I just repeated the same word 1,000 times? Oh, that would just be insulting. Anyway, I'm not planning to write 1,000 words on a piece of paper. Besides, I can't fit 1,000 words on a piece of paper. I could probably only fit 200. It would almost take as much time to come up with 1,000 words. And who wants a picture of a burned down house anyways? That's just sad, the fireman shrugged. Just trying to make a business. Soon after, the firemen were back in their red, fiery trucks, driving off, maybe to the next house that had a burned down house, and the fireman can sell his picture for 1,000 words. As I was talking to the quacked fireman, my mom was on the phone, talking to her Uncle Bob, trying to see if there was a place we could stay. There were a bunch of nods and ums. And soon we were in our car driving to Uncle Bob's. When we arrived, a chubby bald Bob greeted us. Piece of cake getting here, you guys? He said as he handed each of us a piece of strawberry cake. I took it gratefully without any questions. Before we headed into the house, we saw a small elderly woman wave her cane at us, screaming in a foreign language. That's my neighbor. She's Greek. Everything she says is Greek to me. I stared at the small woman, still waving her cane at us, as she looked pretty disgusted to meet me. I kept hearing her saying, "Pusties." I think she's saying, "fuck." Pardon my French. I'm not offended, said my mother. I speak a bit of French. I excuse your French. It's healthy to speak French sometimes.
Uncle Bob nodded. The elderly woman was still yelling. Just wave, she usually leaves, Uncle Bob said. I waved with a pleased smile on my face, as if I appreciated what she was saying or probably calling me. Pianamasu! She cried back, glaring at us. Then she walked back into her house. What did you do to her? I asked as I entered Uncle B's house. I was once invited to one of their Greek gatherings, and I ate all the lamb. I was really hungry that day. She never forgave me. I nodded. I guess lamb's really important to Greeks, I said. Guess so. He poured himself a glass of orange juice from the kitchen and offered one to my mother and me. We both declined. Sorry about your house, he said as he took a sip. We just nodded as awkward silence followed. I almost had enough money for the mortgage, too, moaned my mother. We're all in the same boat, said Uncle B, pointing to his motorboat outside. We were in the same boat, corrected my mother. I don't have a mortgage to pay anymore. Bob shrugged. You can still sit in my boat. Thanks. Does Dad know where we are? I asked my mother. Probably. He'll soon be here like the drop of a hat, said my mother. My mother took off her black beret and actually dropped it on the floor. In that instant, my father appeared at the door. What happened? Cried my father. How the hell did the house break down? And that concludes section 1 of my short story. Tune in whenever and you'll have another reading with me and somebody else. I don't know who that will be next yet. But
hope you enjoyed.
Yep.
And peace
see you
out.
Next time.
Have a nice day.
Bye.